Once you have all the stock bodywork off, the taillight wired up and connected as per the instructions, now you take the clip nuts, install them to the subframe, making sure they're aligned perfectly with the hole. If they're misaligned, you can bend the clip nuts and they will look like this, over bent, and you won't be able to thread into them. So it's a very crucial part of installation. Once you have those in, you get the sub panel or the substructure. Place that in, align the holes, subframe holes. Get your aluminum spacers. There's aluminum spacers. Insert them in the hole. Get your taillight spring. Slide the taillight in the top. Insert your spring. And kind of bunch the wire up. Try to guide it through so it's easier later. Pop out sometimes. Okay, so now your side panel. Locate the bottom hole. Pass a spacer through the bottom hole. And just let it rest in the frame. Grease up the M6 bolts and insert them into the top, right through the T-nuts, or the clip nuts. Now all you need to do is make sure the thread engages. Be gentle if you don't feel it engaging correctly, back out. Just have it now. Make sure it's perfectly passing through the hole. Alright, now it's engaged. Should spin freely. A couple turns, should be fine. So to make sure this doesn't pop off when doing the rest installation, I'll just put the subframe bolt, the M8. Just a couple turns, just to hold it in place. Now take the wiring, make sure it's passing through the channels. Springs inserted correctly. Pull the side panel out just a little bit to get passed through. Now the crucial part here is you kind of pull the side panel out until it snaps and clicks over. It's capturing the end of the substructure. Now you just repeat the process with the right side panel. So I'll locate it on the spacer. Mostly press it on. Now you have to make sure these grooves are overlapping, at least in the midsection. Then you get your greased up bolt, kind of squeeze the panel. I lift it up a bit, just to kind of make sure it's engaging right. Switching the tool out. Yep, so that's spinning freely, so that's good. It's engaged. Now get the other subframe bolt. Spin the bike around. Insert it here. Kind of almost do it by hand, but just a couple turns, making sure it's passing through everything into the subframe. Okay, so that's engaged. You got these two top screws in. Now the back, making sure everything is overlapping correctly as per the instructions. Do the same thing. Flex it out so it snaps and captures it. Close it. You can see it should be properly overlapping. And these bolts are in, so if you do them first, it's much easier. Okay, so now we have everything loosely in place. Put the bike back. Get a screwdriver. Get the 5/8 black thread creating screws. And you have to look through. While you're pressing them together, you'll see the hole. That's the substructure. So you pass it all the way through. At this point, you can just tighten everything down because the difficult parts are already connected. And it should self-align if you just get it into the hole, start tightening, it'll pull everything together. So this hole's misaligned. And all you have to do is squeeze them together. So you can't really see the hole, but if I squeeze it, the hole opens up. So you just pull them together and you can get the holes lined up. So I squeeze the panels together. Tighten the screws. Okay, so once you have all 6 of these black 5/8" screws, we'll start getting the bolts for the rest of the side panel. So again, I'll grease it up. Just a little bit of grease. Another attachment for the M6. And it's going to be a little finicky. You just have to make sure everything's stacking up correctly. Now I can see, kind of push down, I can see all the way through into the frame of the bike. And to engage, and with it greased up, you don't have to worry about stripping out the holes. So that worked nicely. Again, same thing for the other side. We'll grease. Making sure every hole's lined up. You get thread in, we'll kind of force them to align with the lock shroud. Now you get the long M6 for the front of the body panel. A little bit of grease. Sometimes the controller, once you remove the screws, the stock screws, the controller will kind of slide forwards. So I've found sometimes I have to put a little pressure. So I'll kind of squeeze the frame like this and put a little pressure forward, because you're really threading into that, passing through it. So kind of just wiggle it, push, firmly push it. This one's not too misaligned, so tighten right up. Again, I'm not cranking all the way down. I'm just doing loosely installing these. And at the very end, we'll tighten everything up together. Same thing for the other side. So this one's a little more difficult, so I'll press this in. There we go. Okay, now the rear part of the bike. Okay, so 2 more M6 screws, and now you get your 2 nuts. That's included in the kit. Again, just a little bit of grease. These aren't really going into the frame, so you have to grease them, but it's good practice. So insert these like so, pass it through the subframe, substructure. Get my socket. Again, just loosely tighten them down. sometimes I'll kind of push the panels a little bit, make sure they're as far as they can go together. The black screws should really take care of that. Now I'll crank these down. So just make them snug. You know, don't crush the plastic. Just when it's a little bit of muscle to tighten them. Just a little bit. Okay, so those are tightened down. Now what I'll do is I'll do the subframe bolts, the M8s. And you follow the spec, Newton meters. Should crank these down. I'll do the top bolts. Just making sure they're snug. Okay, those are snug. On the side, these crush easily, so it's just not much, you know, weight held by these. So just make them snug. Okay, so the main part of the 4MF Moto kits together. Alright, take your hatch, you're using the stock battery, it's 2 foam pads. Your lock, place it on. Get your pins you pulled off the stock hatch. Place them through, making sure everything's lined up. Sometimes you kind of pull stuff out. Slides right in. Everything here, make sure it's lined up. Slide right in. There you go. Now this is lined up. So from here, take C clips and put them on. And just a little bit of pressure to get them on, started. And then you can use a screwdriver, or pliers, whatever method you like the best to pop it on, and it'll just snap into place. You do that the other side. There you go. Another thing that we've been seeing potential issues with, so the seat has 3 connecting points: the front, the middle, and this is where it clips into the taillight. So when installing the seat, you place it slightly back from this connection, right, like so. And I keep a little bit of pressure in the middle of the seat, making sure those fins underneath are engaging right here. And engaging to the front at the same time. So I keep pressure in the middle and then the front to slide it forward. You can see I can't lift the middle up. And the back, super easy, right? Just slam it in place and it's locked. Then to remove it, simultaneously press in the taillight, lift up, slide back, unlock the hatch. Same thing like your seat. So you have it. And then obviously 2 black screws will hold on to the tail, and then zip ties with the front fender.